Well, today it's springtime and I'm going to clean out my truck. You can see I already started. And then I figured I'd tell you a little bit about me and business and how I do things. This is my '89 Chevy. I put a carburetor and a distributor on it, standard transmission. Since that's all in, never had a problem since. I don't believe in buying fancy vehicles. I got this off Honest Mike for $500 about 15, 16 years ago maybe. And the only thing is I put a different engine in it myself. I bought one of those crate engines and just dropped it in, put a new clutch in it. And I took it back and forth to Florida about 6-7 times already. I'm not worried about it. Got a carburetor and a distributor. Any mechanic could fix it. So I'm going to clean the back of the truck out. Well, let's look at the back of the truck here. I got this box. You see this box? And I keep a lot of junk tools in here. Extras, or when I go on a job, at least I know what I need. They're going to ask me, Mike, why did you put this box here? Well, actually, that's where the gas tank is, and you can open up the bottom of the box like you get at the gas tank. Not like the new school. I like to do it the old school way. And that's my wagon. I had a Civil War wagon. And he says, Mike, what do you got a Civil War wagon for? He says, well, if they ever run out of gas in this country and we have another Civil War, I'm ready. So I'm going to take this stuff out of the box, show you what I got. I'm going to start taking this stuff out of the box, show you what I keep in here. Of course I keep levels, and then I keep a rubber hammer. Got to have a rubber hammer, claw things, but mostly I keep everything in a bucket. And I kind of keep the buckets separate so I know here's another little level. Got these things, chisels, kind of got to separate everything. These, got to know where everything's at. Paintbrushes. So that's one bucket. This is my kind of car stuff bucket. I got like drill bits. I got a brick spacing rule. This don't belong there. A can. So that's a different bucket. Let's put that aside. And I got this bucket. See, all this stuff gets mixed up. Knee pads, hammers, screws. That should be in there. See, this shouldn't be in there. That should be in there. I gotta straighten everything out because I gotta go on a brick job, and I need certain tools for that. But I wanted to talk about business. You need a hose. Hammers, that goes in a different bucket. First of all, everybody got this big idea that they're going to be in business and be a big contractor. Well, I've been through all that. I grew up in the business. So you have to have extra shovels. I've been in the business. They think, well, I'll start business and I'll start an S chapter corporation because I won't be able to get sued then. Well, I studied law, and when they sue somebody, they sue everybody. That's including anybody who's part of the S chapter corporation. So don't listen to that. That's another lie. And what you want to do, or what I do in life, see, this all got to go somewhere else. Because I look at it this way. Stay small and keep it all. That's water in case I can get it. Flags. I got, what do you call these? Chalk lines. Extra lines. That goes in there. Here's what I'm looking for, these brick things. Well, every time you turn around in this country, in this state, it's another law, another rule, another regulation, more government workers, more government this, more government that. Gets to the point you can't even do any business. They started all this, this is always, you always need this for wire. Matter of fact, I always carry some extra wire. And then carry this kind of wire, like this. These are what I'm looking for. These are what I'm going to need. Chisels, A lot of slickers. I use a lot of slickers. But you don't need a lot when you're a mason. See, this is what I'm looking for, these two things. I wanted to make sure I knew I had them before I go on the brick job. So what I was talking about was we started all these code officials and all these inspectors, and I don't trust any of those guys. Screws, see I got screws, that's where I keep the screws. They make up their own rules. I never got a consumer notice telling me my rights. I never get an inspection report. That's a sponge float. Never get an inspection report, and I never get a satisfaction survey. All you get from them guys is give me the money, and most of the time that's what they want is the money. So you go in and you pay them the money, you're good. But it's getting levels. I got too many levels here. Gotta get rid of these dollar levels. Are just as good. If you go this way with it, it's level, and this way with it, it's level. That's good. So when I pass a law, it's supposed to be for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. But they forget about my health, safety, and welfare, and I complain all the time. Here's another thing you should know about law. That's a sponge float. When you complain and they make it hard on you, that's actually a violation of your First Amendment right. And me knowing that, everybody gets a letter in the mail. I always carry this extra too in case I'm on a concrete job. My axe, you see me use my axe a lot. But you don't have to be, all you have to do really is go get some business insurance, and you're in business. Talk to your accountant, you find out what you can do and what you can't do. See that, a plaster on the wall, a little hole in case I forget my other one, and gloves. You gotta have a lot of gloves. But when they started that stuff, everybody had to have a license and all this stuff. Well, you couldn't go into certain towns. That ruined a lot of people's businesses. So if you ever look at my videos when I started, this is Mike Haduck, Masonry and Consultant. And the only reason I put consultant in there was because they'll say I'm working there and say, no, I'm just consulting. And I never had to really play that card. Sponges, you have to have a lot of sponges. But that's the only reason I do it. I never do any consulting. And a brush. You always have to have a soft brush. What else we got in here? Square. And never go anywhere without a roll of plastic. Alright? So we're doing good there. So the whole thing they got anymore is money. So what happened was, when they started all that stuff, you couldn't work in certain towns. So everybody started getting rid of their employees, and then they start teaming up with other contractors. So if I wanted to work in a town next to me, I'd go with that contractor, help him do a job. Or if he wanted to work in my town, he could come and help me do a contractor. Then they started this stuff with the Attorney General's office. You have to get a license with them. It's all nonsense. See, these people make the laws. They don't know. They've never been in business. Also, I always carry a set of these around. We got a lot of stuff in here. So I think that's pretty much it. You know, I carry glasses and the ear things like that. See that? But at the very end, I'm going to tell you about all the stuff to watch for and all the agencies you got to deal with. If you go into business, you're going to get a big red target on your back. If you get an employee identification number, and they're going to haunt you to the end of your life. So things were different when I grew up. There was no business insurance. You didn't have to have insurance for your trucks or your cars or any of that stuff. All this stuff, licensing and code official, all this stuff is brand new, and it slows you down. You're better off working in a factory sometime. If you go into business, you know, you start out, you don't need a $60,000 truck. I drive this $500 truck. It's worth more than I paid for it, and that's it. So that's it. I gotta start putting all this stuff back. And you hear me talk about business. You're only getting one side of the story, my side. I have a friend who's was a state trooper detective, and he told me, Mike, he says when you get there, you separate the people, and you get one person's side of the story, and you get the other person's side of the story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. So you learn from people like that. Putting all this stuff back in. Now when it comes to like grinders and electrical stuff, I keep an extra extension cord. But that's usually separate. I take them on the job the next day. I like to put them everywhere I want. But getting back to dealing with permits and all that, I make sure if I have to get a permit, which 90% of the time you don't, but they tell you you do, make sure the owner's with me. And if that guy shows up on the job, I have a list of questions to ask him. I go from there. Gotta watch when you're sticking your hand in here. There's a lot of things that'll bite you if you don't put them in right. See, you already got bit already. And you know, but small stuff, nobody's out there to bother. They want the money from the big guys. I always need a caulking gun. I always keep extra caulking too. But really, you don't need all that stuff they tell you you need. So when you're dealing with these officials anymore, the way I look at it is they hired a lot of foxes to watch the chickens, but nobody's watching the foxes. So don't take any jobs if you see anything is iffy. If that makes sense. Yeah, that's the way you put it together. And that's it. You got to get some, what do you call it, chalk. I don't see any of that in there. Get ready to go on my next job. So I pretty much got it all in order again. I need another knee pad. I'm almost out of them. Oh, here's one. Levels. All right. I'm doing good. So now I'm just going to throw some of the bigger stuff in. My plastic wheelbarrow that weighs like 25 pounds. Like that. And sometimes got a pointed shovel, one of these, a hoe, and a flat shovel. About it. You don't need a lot of stuff to be in the masonry business. People say that you do. Take a couple tubs with me, but you don't. Let me tell you, I've been through the gamut in this business. Had employees. My dad had 13 employees. Once you get into the big stuff, you're going to get every agency in the world chasing you. You get letters. Even if you go out of business for a year and a half, you'll be getting letters. Workman's comp, you get the IRS, the state unemployment tax, you'll get federal unemployment tax, you got to double the Social Security, you got Birkenheimer chasing you, you got this guy chasing you, your business's insurances. By the time you're done at the end of the year, they got all the money, you ain't got nothing. So my advice is, if you want to go into business, go in slow, you know, a little job at a time by yourself. If you get into a bigger job and you want to share it with another contractor, you're a lot better off than going into the big business type of thing. When you do get into big business type of thing, then you got to keep rolling. You got to keep that money coming in and going out and rolling it. And a lot of times you don't do as good work as you would if you're just by yourself. Now, I've been in a lot of different businesses. I don't tell people a lot of stuff, but I've been into real estate. I've been into had apartments. I flipped houses. I did everything. Played music. Sometimes I made more money in music than I did masonry. But I'm just doing this to kind of keep the videos going for friends, family, maybe an odd contractor once in a while. you know, but I don't, I'm getting my later 60s. I don't want to take any work anymore. So I just do odds and ends to keep the videos going, and I got over a year's worth of videos I haven't even put out yet. So, I don't know, I thought this video might be helpful to someone who's thinking about it. Just do it simple. Sometimes you're better off. Stay small and keep it all. So I'm going to do a little review here, kind of make things maybe a little clearer if you're thinking of going into business. But in Pennsylvania, if you go into business and you have employees, here's a list of the people you got to deal with. Berkenheimer, the IRS, the Federal Unemployment, the PA Unemployment, Social Security Office, PA Department of Revenue, Municipal Tax, Right to Work Tax, Attorney General Licensing, Business Insurance, Workman's Compensation, Obamacare, Inspection fees, third class city licensings, Bureau of Labor Industry, permits, then you get into OSHA, the DEP, the EPA, DOT. You get inundated with all this work. And they send you letters, even if you paid and you did everything correctly, they're still sending you letters in the mail. So if you go by yourself and you don't have employees, you could eliminate at least a half to 2/3 of that. Now me, I don't have a dump truck or I don't have a backhoe because I always worked with an excavator, and a lot of times he would get the concrete jobs and he'd dig it all out and I'd form it. We worked together and we'd shared the profits as it was. But you could become a slave or a trap in your business by having all these expenses and trucks and all this machinery. You can get a dump trailer. You don't have to get a dump truck if you're a small mason. You could rent. Like if you go to the rental center and rent an excavator if you want. So you bid it into the job. You don't want to become a slave to your business because, like I said before, you got to keep it going. You could make deals with other contractors where they supply all the materials and then you just go in and do the job, and then they give you a 1099 at the end of the year. But if you don't have any expenses and you're working for yourself, you could keep 60 to 80% of your profits. But when I had employees, I was only keeping 25 to 40%. I'd have to take on more jobs. I'd have to take riskier things to keep the guys going. And you know, I'm getting close to 70. I don't want to deal with that stuff anymore. Best thing you do is, instead of going to all this stuff, go talk to your accountant. Anytime you get a check, make a copy of that check and keep that check on file. And at the end of the year, you put everything in one column that you made and everything in the other column that you spent. And you go to your accountant and they'll tell you what's legal in your state, what's not legal, and how to do it. But you don't have to go. As a matter of fact, if you do under $5,000 worth of work in our state, you don't even need an Attorney General's license. So take it as it comes. I hope these videos help. I hope when you're thinking diligently, you know, and you just can't keep yelling there's a lion in the street and not go out and do something, because in all labor there's profit one way or another. So thanks for watching the videos. I'm Haduck. I'll see you next video.